Hey guys, Phoenix here today. Today's video is going to be it's going to be a tutorial video showing you how to make a one of these. And what it is it goes onto a piece of PVC pipe, and it makes perfectly even marks on your PVC for building homemade Nerf blasters and for whatever reason you might come up with. For example, this is a homemade I was working on until I cut the slots wrong, but it still is fine for an example. What I have here is I have 4 perfectly spaced marks on my PVC. And the way I used to do this is put a reducer bushing in the front and go boom, 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 because it had like little hexagon shaped marks on it. But half of the time I just eyeballed it and it did not come out right. They are pretty spaced evenly, but what I'm going to show you today is much easier. And what it is you can put your handle and trigger on the bottom, your stock on the top, and then if you have slots that you might have to cut out like this, you can do them perfectly even by using this jig. This jig is pretty much just a block of wood with marks on it, and I'm going to show you how to make those marks perfectly even. And what it is you can have 1/8 marks or quarterly marks and 4 extra marks for so there's 8 perfectly spaced marks that you can draw on your PVC. So you use this slides around on PVC. You simply mark, and then you take a triangular ruler like this, slap it on like that, trace, and you've got your construction marks. So yeah, let's get started by going over to the blade runner. So today what I have is pretty much to start with your jig. You're going to want to determine what you're going to make your jig for. And in this case, I will be using it for CPVC, like this, because sometimes I have to cut slots on pump action blasters in your plunger rod, and I want to have those marks for my plunger rod. So mine is for CPVC. Pretty much the basic rule is you measure your outer diameter of your PVC, which for me is 5/8, and then you cut a 1/2 inch larger than your outer diameter for your jig thing. So I know that sounds confusing, but pretty much mine's 5/8 OD, so I need a 1 inch strip of wood to start out with, a 1 inch square piece of wood. So I have one of my calipers that was on, but it turned off because it's a smart caliper, and it's set for perfectly 1 inch. I had it exactly at 1.00, and as you can see, the distance between the fence and the blade, can't really see because of the thing up there, but you can see the distance between that is exactly 1 inch. So let me get a better view of that. That's exactly 1 inch. So that's going to mean that when I put this up against this fence and cut, I get a 1 inch piece of wood. So pretty much you can't freehand cut this like with a scroll saw. I know a lot of people have that. You need to use something like a blade runner or a bandsaw or a table saw if you have access to it to make this cut. So I'm going to make this cut off camera to save time, and then I'll show you what I have from there. So right there you have your 1 inch strip of wood, and you're going to want to cut this to 1 inch so you have a perfectly square piece of wood, and I'm going to do that with the blade runner as well. So there you have it, a 1 inch square piece of wood. Now what we're going to need to do is mark the center of this, and I'll show you how to do that. By the way, one of these fine point markers comes in handy a lot when making this jig, just for your info. So pretty much you take the square piece of wood, and to find the exact center of this, you connect the corners with a ruler. So I am going to do that. You have to make sure this is really accurate too, so I'm just taking my time here, making sure this is very good. And then we're going to do that, just move it like that. Do it for the other side. The more precise you are, the better your marks get. So right there, if you can see that, that's the exact center. Now we're going to drill a 5/8 hole for our CPVC to fit through. So let's do that. Alright, so I'm over at my drill press where I have a 5/8 spade bit inserted. The reason I'm using a spade bit is because spade bits and drill bits and stuff vary in outer diameter. So I used my caliper, and this is the closest thing I had. I have several spade and drill bits or Forstner bits that are 5/8 in diameter, but this one fit the tightest over my CPVC. So yeah, this is what I'll be using. I don't want to hold it like this when I drill, because what will happen is this bit might hit my fingers. So to keep my fingers farther away, I'm using one of these clamps. You simply just go up like this, and then making sure that's flat on the table, you clamp it. And then the spade bit has a little point. You just put that point right in between those X's. Let that return, and then we're going to drill this out. A quick word of advice: put a piece of wood under your table so that when you drill all the way through this, you don't drill through your table and mess up your table and dull your bit. Just a quick tip. Alright, so like that, I've drilled all the way through, and now we're going to go on to the next. So pretty much, to make our first quarter marks, you take your piece of wood that has the hole drilled in it, and since mine is 1 inch long, you're going to want to mark halfway across your board. So for me, that's a 1/2 inch, which would be right here. So boom, right there's the halfway mark. You continue that over, and then on top right there. So right there is our first mark, and we're going to do that all the way around. So as you can see, there's my quarter marks. Now to do the other ones, you just twist it like this. You place your ruler on the edges like we did when we marked the center of the block. You go like this, and mark, mark. And then you just twist it to the other side. This is the easier part, because you don't have to measure. So mark, and mark. And there you have it, 8 perfect marks. And what you do is you can put this over your plastic like so, CPVC, and then you just make your marks where needed. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think.